Thank you. I'm fairly new to this. About a month ago, I got 5 of the books that you've co-written with Esther and Jerry, and I deactivated my social media. I went completely just hidden from the world, and I focused on myself because I've always been a focuser. I just didn't really know. My inner being loves me so much that it's always found a way to push me in a direction without me even knowing.
We can say that in better words. Your inner being always knows where you are in relationship to what you really want and who you really are, and is always offering your path of least resistance to help you get there, because your inner being understands where every bit of your resistance is and just guides you around it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really just here in appreciation, honestly. I've had so many, the past couple days have been ineffable. The clarity, manifestations to me are great. I love the things that I want to do, but the clarity, it feels amazing knowing
We like
yourself.
it that you are appreciating the manifestations, yes, too. But the clarity leading up to the manifestations is equally delicious. And that means that you figured out how to enjoy the journey, which is never ending, because no creation is ever complete. And when you've got that figured out, then you have the key to living happily ever after, because there is always going to be a gap between the thing that you've just launched and your ability to flow with it fully. So if you've got the hang of how fun it is just to move in the direction of it, you don't have to be all the way there. Just moving in the direction of it rather than standing still while it's moving, that's enough. And then you get into that clarity where, as you say, it's ineffable. You can't even explain the magic that's happening. And that's when you truly feel your complete worthiness, how blessed you really are.
I do have 2 questions.
Yes?
I've been really trying to understand my intentions. I know that my intentions before I entered this body were great intentions, but I wanted to know more clearly my intentions.
That's what we just said to you earlier. Your inner being knows what all of them are and know how to reveal them to you in the easiest format for you to experience them. And this is the difference between your inner being's approach to your intentions and yours. You want to know what they all are so you can rush right over there, and your inner being wants you to enjoy every delicious particle of them along the way.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing is, once when I was meditating, I had a thought. I didn't know if it came from me or my inner being, but I had this thought.
Well, here's the way to know. Was it satisfying?
It felt great.
Inner being. That's all you need to know. But Abraham, it was about the sound system. Shouldn't it be about world peace or something more important? It's about figuring out how to play rap on my machine. Satisfying. That's the indicator.
The guidance is so simplistic sometimes that I think that I'm wanting to
Humans
get this
complicate things right into unnecessary resistance. Everything is simple.
Right, it is. It's almost so simple that it just blows right past your mind if you don't.
But here's what happens. First, in most cases, you want to make it complicated because that justifies your existence more. Then you discover the simplicity of it and you feel the relief of that. Then you figure out how to consistently remain in the receiving mode. Then it starts simply, but then it becomes more complex. But because you're in sync with it, it never becomes overwhelming. And so it becomes so detailed and so faceted, so multifaceted, but your ability to comprehend it stays right up with it. Did you hear that? Humans want to equate faceted and more complicated and more detailed with overwhelmment and misunderstanding. When you stay up to speed with it, it feels simple all along the way. You know that from different things you've learned with mathematics or whatever. The more you know, then the more the next idea that comes is easy for you to comprehend. It's like that, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel that my stream is moving so fast that I sometimes feel overwhelmed.
Well, then that's because it got a little bit of a head start on you, and you're kind of standing still in some beliefs that aren't serving you. Esther was in Del Mar a few months ago, and she looked out and she couldn't see her ocean view from her desk overlooking her deck. And her gardeners were coming that day, so she asked them, can you trim the bushes over here because I'm blocking my own ocean view? They said, we'll take care of it. She was going off to lunch. They said, but there might be something down in the ravine that is part of the obstruction. And Esther said, well, I don't own the whole thing. I only own half the ravine, so just make sure it's on my property. And when Esther came back from lunch, her view was back and she was so excited. Then she looked out a little ways and she saw 2 big tree stumps over there next to someone else's property. And she thought, what have I done? Love the view, but going to jail now. So then she rationalized. She thought, well, maybe they're renovating that house because it's new owners, and maybe the new owners don't know those trees were ever there. So she just sat with it for a day or two, and then she saw a man in a suit standing out on the patio looking at those trees, and she thought, here we go. And then he took out his phone and took a picture of them. So Esther said, I better go confess. She'd never been there. It was across the ravine. She didn't know whether it's a road that leads up to the house or a road that leads down to the house. It took her a while to get there. When she got there, he was already gone. But on the way over, she had practiced her speech. I did this. I didn't mean to do this. I will make it up to you in any way that you want. I'll plant new trees. I'll plant your whole new yard. I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do this. But he wasn't there, so she did not deliver her confession to him. So then the next day, her friend came, took her to lunch again. And when they came back, she said, let me show you what I did. And she took him out and she said, look over there. And her friend said, what? And Esther said, those stumps, look. And he said, Esther, your gardeners didn't cut those down while we were at lunch. Why isn't the hillside all torn up? Where's all the debris? And Esther thought, oh. And then they stepped out closer and they looked up, and there was a very small tree up there on Esther's property that they'd cut down, and everything was just lying right there by it. And Esther thought, that's right. What a crazy belief I had. They would have had to bring a helicopter in, hook it up, saw it off at the bottom, and just carry it away. All that had happened was they cut down a tree that allowed her to see something she hadn't seen before. Shook Esther up because it was so obvious that that was so dumb. Circumstantial evidence. She believed it. She believed that she had cut those trees down, even though everything about her logical mind defied that once her friend pointed it out. And Esther thought, I bet I have all kinds of illogical beliefs that are in the way of desires. And with that beginning thought, all kinds of illogical beliefs have surfaced for her to just release. Isn't life fun enough?
Yes, thank you so much.
Really good time for a segment of refreshment.